Hello EFD squad and welcome back to the Euro Roundup where you pick our winners and losers from the continent from the weekend just past. I'm back in the building and with me it's Michael McCubbin who's been deputising in my absence. So much so that you're a main feature now.
Yeah,
the place Van Straten is gone.
The main man. How was South Africa?
It was big game there and we have some big games to cover, don't we? How's that for a segue?
Nice.
Didn't even plan that.
Very good.
Now, before we move on to Juventus, who Captain Guna suggested as our first winners, you need to hit that subscribe button up there. Eurofootball Daily needs your help to get to 500,000 subscribers by the end of this season. Punchy targets and some punchy results. So. Juventus versus Fiorentina, maybe not the best game, but there, you know, Scudetto's haul goes on, doesn't it?
Exactly. This one that comes in from @Captain Guna. Obviously, Juve, yes, won their 8th title in a row. Historic stuff. A new record in Europe's top 5 leagues. Can you believe it? Can you guess whose record they broke? Ooh. Let us know in the comments below.
I'm genuinely perplexed.
Actually have it down here.
Is it Real Madrid, maybe in the 50s or something?
I'm not sure. I think it. My shout would be Lyon because they won it many times, didn't they, in the last decade before this one. But anyway, let us know in the comments below. The last time they won Serie A, the last time another team won Serie A, which was AC Milan. AC had Gattuso, Nesta, Seedorf, and Ronaldinho playing for them. Just goes to show how long this run has been. Absolutely tragic for everyone else.
And that was Allegri as well, wasn't it?
It was Allegri. So.
Baller.
You may as well just not have watched Serie A for the last 10 years. It's just been the same. But anyway, just as they were getting over Champions League heartbreak, the old lady actually went down early to La Viola. They opened the scoring at the Allianz Stadium. But Alexandro scored half an hour later before Fiorentina captain German Petzela netted at the wrong end to wrap up the 3 points for Juve. But despite having more possession and more shots than Fiorentina, Juve can actually count themselves a little bit lucky to have got all 3 points here, Hamill. Yeah,
Fiorentina a lot busier in front of goal, and the expected goals was actually in the visitors' favour, 1.4 to 0.9, with Chiesa hitting the bar twice. Of course, he's been heavily linked with a move to Juventus and most of Serie A's top teams, such has been the form of the young playmaker this season. He couldn't beat Szczesny, Dabo couldn't beat Szczesny, despite all Fiorentina's shots being on target after their goal. So they huffed and puffed, but could not blow the house down. Bit of an onslaught towards the end of the game as well. Juventus had to ride their luck to an extent in this, actually conceding 4 shots in injury time, which amounted to an XG of about 0.5. So half decent chances as well towards the end of the game. And of course, Fiorentina's goal came from Milinkovic, who... young defender that again is arousing the interest of the top boys. He actually, nice little bit of movement, nice dribble in the build up to the goal as well. I think that was his 3rd goal of the season, so bit of a goal threat, bit of a libero from the back there. Serie A. Now, under Maurizio Sarri, Napoli clocked over 90 points and still finished 2nd. So they can consider themselves extremely unfortunate, but the competition has waned in his absence. Obviously, Napoli have got rid of some generational talent as well, I guess. You know, Higuain moved on, Hamsik has gone as well, hasn't he? And strengthened okay. You know, I like Fabian Ruiz. He's been a good addition to that team, but not really in any sense where they look like they're gonna challenge for the title. Of course, Inter have fallen by the wayside since the whole Mauro Icardi issue as well. And with Napoli being beaten pretty comprehensively by Arsenal, who then lost to Crystal Palace, it has got a lot of people sort of wondering towards the tail end of the season, you know, which we hoped would be really exciting, whether Serie A has actually just plateaued a bit more.
I think it has stagnated, especially since last season, hasn't it?
Last season and the season before were so promising, so this is really disheartening to see as a neutral Serie A fans. What can your teams do to challenge Juventus at the summit of the league? Let us know in the comments below, because Juve are now 20 points clear of 2nd place Napoli. This is sort of Bundesliga territory in Pep's pomp with Bayern, isn't it? And 31 points ahead of 4th. Ugly scenes, but you know, some decent football on show still. Like I said, let us know how Serie A can be fixed. Maybe we'll do a podcast on it in the comments below.
We go to La Liga for our first losers from the weekend. It comes from @Clearly Claro, and he has said Sevilla.
Yeah, I watched the highlights for this morning. Extremely ugly if you're a Sevilla fan. So they dropped from 4th to 6th in La Liga after losing to Getafe 3-0, and with Valencia beating Real Betis, they've now sort of lost the initiative for Champions League football, which looked a given about 2 months ago.
Yep.
In fact, they were being touted as title contenders, much like they were under Sampaoli around Christmas, but the wheels have come off yet again, and I think only 9 points separates 4th to 9th. So that 4th spot, the last berth of Champions League football in Spain, is up for grabs. Getafe stealing the advantage after stealing the points in this game. The Andalusians actually starting off the better side, dominating possession, firing off 6 shots in the first 30 minutes, with Vasquez hitting the woodwork. He was particularly productive, in the opening exchanges. However, things soon fell apart for Caparros's side, and they've been a little bit unfortunate, not getting the rub of the green lately, so conceded 2 VAR penalties. I thought the first one was extremely harsh. His hands were in pretty silly position.
Were in the air, weren't they?
But he was half a yard away from
Pretty
play.
onto it.
And the second one, Escudero, who was booked for dissent and then consequently given a red card for conceding the second penalty, was a penalty. I mean, he has his back turned to play, I guess, which again might seem unfortunate, but his arms are up here, aren't they?
And they're very close to the goal as well, aren't they?
Yeah, so Getafe deserved at least one, let's say. But by 53 minutes, things got even worse. They were 3-0 down, Sevilla, and from there on in, it became a deserved loss. Despite still maintaining 65% possession and managing 12 shots in total to Getafe's 10, they just lacked quality in front of goal. And I think this is in the absence of Pablo Sarabia, who we were touting for a move to someone like Chelsea before the transfer ban, obviously, on the podcast at the start of the season. He's been in superb form, scored 3 goals in the club's last 4 games. So they're becoming heavily reliant on the attacking midfielder, and he's contributed to 22 goals in total in La Liga this campaign. And they only produce an XG of 0.6 to Getafe's 2.7. I don't know if that excludes penalties.
That doesn't exclude penalties.
It doesn't exclude.
I think even without the penalties, I think it would be something like 1 to 0.6.
Yeah, so an uneventful game given the scoreline, pretty contentious. But things couldn't have gone better for Getafe with these weekends worth of results.
Yes, very much so. Now in 4th place by 2 points, I believe they're clear of Valencia and Sevilla. Obviously a little way to go, but for now they have got the initiative. And despite having only 3 shots on target in this game, obviously all of them went in. They did actually create quality opportunities owing to that XG. 9 of their 10 shots came from inside the box, which is pretty good. A lot of them blocked, but you know, firing off shots in good areas. And it's actually been the story of their season. They've registered on average 10.3 shots a game, which is the worst record in the entire league. Wow. The entire league. But have scored the 7th most goals. Furthermore,
prolific.
They also have the 3rd best defensive record in the division, but only after Atleti and Valencia. And this actually stacks up when it comes to XG as well. So even according to XG, they should have conceded less than Barcelona. They should have conceded less than Real Madrid. Really, really impressive.
Fortunate on the attacking end, but could have done a little bit better had they got, you know, rub of the green on the defensive end.
Perhaps, yeah. I mean, I think they're still outperforming XG. Defensively, but I think everyone's been outperforming XG. So like when it comes to goals conceded and XG, it's still Atleti, Valencia, Getafe, Barcelona, pretty much more or less. But yeah, it's pretty amazing for this club. Obviously, they've never finished above 6th in La Liga. They only got promoted in 2017, and now they're 5 points off their best ever La Liga tally of 58 with 5 games left to play. So we'd expect them to beat that at the very least. The star on the day was Jorge Molina. He's been one of the kind of unexpected stars of this season.
Oh boy.
37-year-old he is now. 37 years old he is now. He bagged a brace, taking his tally for the season to 13. He's actually averaging a better goals to minute ratio than Antoine Griezmann this season. So heard it here first, or maybe not here first, maybe people have been saying it already, the new Aritz Aduriz. But yeah, it's just been an amazing season for Getafe. They will now have to be on top form, though, to secure 4th, because they host Real Madrid and travel to Barcelona in the run-in. I probably wouldn't put my money on them myself. Well, I probably wouldn't put money on them myself, sorry. But what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below.
Our final winner is a man who was much maligned last season. It's Karim Benzema, who's really stepping up to the fore for Zidane. And this one comes from Los Blancas 99. No surprise there. What happened in this game then against Bilbao?
Well, it was all about Benzema. He netted a hat-trick as Real eased to victory over 7th placed Athletic Bilbao. He has now scored 8 goals in his last 5 games. Unreal form. And it also turns out those are the only goals that Real Madrid have scored in those 5 games. So this tops a very obscure record, which was held by Fernando Morientes. He scored 6 of Real's goals in a row in 1999. So nearly
Morientes.
20 years in the making this.
He's a bit of a Benzema figure at Real Madrid as
He
well,
was a
wasn't
little bit, always playing second fiddle to
yeah,
Raul.
always
as
the
Benzema
bride,
did
made
to,
never the bride, yeah.
Exactly. And now he's got 21 goals in 33 games in Ronaldo's absence, 30 in 50 games in all competitions in 18-19. Fantastic stuff. The 31-year-old looks on track actually for his best ever season. He's got 5 games to top the 32 goals he scored in 52 games during the 2011-12 campaign. And pretty amazing because he's actually averaging, in terms of kind of goals per game, it looks like it's pretty much stacking up the same as that season when he was, what, like 8 years younger, 7 years younger. And it's also particularly important when only Gareth Bale with 14 and Sergio Ramos with 11 have scored over 10 goals in all comps for Los Merengues. I think that's compared to 4 players in 17-18, even with Ronaldo's huge output. So Zidane knows what he needs to do this summer. We've spoken about it enough. Attackers need to be invested in. And it's not even just been the goals for Benzema this term. He's really stepped up when it comes to his all-round attacking play, as well as 3.3 shots per 90. He's been averaging 1.5 dribbles, 1.6 key passes, 0.8 expected goals plus assists per 90. He really has been the key man, especially of late. But what did you make of Real's performance in general, Hamill?
Yeah, it's a good job Benzema did step up really, mate, because it was a fairly uneventful opening half in particular. No one else really at the races. Zidane's men not producing a masterclass here. I think the scoreline flatters them somewhat after they only put 4 of their 11 shots on target. Although they did create the better quality chances, Bilbao not really deserving anything from this game with an XG of only 0.5 to Real Madrid's 1.9. It's been a peculiar season for the visitors in general, so they only won 1 of their opening 14 games, facing down relegation in the first half of the season, conceding 23 goals in total. I think they were 18th at the start of December, but since Berizzo was fired and replaced by Gaisca Garitano, they have since lost just 4 of the subsequent 19, winning 10 of them, and now sitting 6 points behind the aforementioned Sevilla. They're probably a good embodiment of La Liga this season and how topsy-turvy it has been in Spain and how a run of 3 games can really send you surging up the table. This season, they have largely been indebted to the performances of Inaki Williams. He's contributed to 16 of their 36 league goals this term with 12 goals and 4 assists. But for Real Madrid, key performers in this game away from Benzema, Luka Modric, back to his sort of, you know, being that midfield metronome we've come to expect from him. A 92% pass accuracy, 4 dribbles from the little man and 3 key passes. But man of the match, Benzema, who was doing it all, like you intimated. He's always put in the hard yards, hasn't he? 3 tackles and interceptions in this game, 2 dribbles, 4 shots. Real Madrid have 5 games left, to overturn the 4-point gap with Atleti in second, who have slowed right up at the end of this season, haven't they? But it's a good job they've got Morata in now. He looks like he may just keep them in second place. A bit more of a mobile centre forward. Diego Costa absolutely shot to pieces. But what do you think, guys? Who's going to finish second in La Liga? Let us know in the comments. Moving on to our final loser.
Our final losers come from @Gelson Ultra 1, and he wasn't a happy boy, was he? Because it's Schalke. What happened to them?
Nah, their Bundesliga status is actually in the balance after a humiliating 5-2 defeat at home to Hoffenheim. Now, the Gelsenkirchen side, who finished second last campaign, have just 2 wins in 12 league games since the winter break, so have really failed to pick up despite having a breather. Conversely, their opponents, Hoffenheim, have lost just twice in the same period. So really a good run of form on Julian Nagelsmann's side, of course. The fact that their manager departing not affecting their form whatsoever, so much to their credit. Now a brace for Hoffenheim's Ishak Belfodil, who I didn't know much about prior to this season. I think he's 27, he's from Algeria. He's got 15 goals this season, so I think he's played the majority of his football up front, can play anywhere across the forward line. I think he was predominantly an attacking midfielder prior to this. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but he's scored 15 goals in 16 starts now. That's the most for an African player in the Bundesliga. Of course, it helps now that Aubameyang is not in the league. So add to that an assist for the Algerian, who won man of the match, of course, putting up ridiculous numbers. I think he's averaging 3 shots a game as well, very healthy 3 shots a game this season. Meanwhile, Kramaric and Amiri both bagged the goal and an assist as they look to hang on to that last European spot in the Bundesliga. So we have a title race in the Bundesliga. We have the potential for massive sides to go down in the Bundesliga. So exciting at the top and bottom. As for Schalke, I mean, the less said about their recent form, the better, really. Their goals came from a Caliguri penalty, 2-0 down, and a Bergstaller consolation goal as time pretty much ticked away. Bergstaller, maybe? Again, not really familiar with that player. But it makes Cagliari their top goal scorer with 5 goals all season, 3 of which have been penalties, which is horrendous.
So bleak.
Isn't it?
So bleak.
But yeah, the relegation battle heats up, McCubbs.
It does, yeah. I mean, like you were saying, the Boehly Champions League places, the Boehly title race and the relegation battle still all in the balance.
Infinitely more interesting than Serie A.
Very much so, and even
more
even like the Premier League's been pretty crazy, and even we've had 2 teams relegated already. So I mean, yeah, still no one relegated to the Zweite Bundesliga yet. So if you're going to watch a European league over the next few weeks, Bundesliga is probably the one to go for. Lots of excitement. Obviously, Schalke, last season's runners-up and Champions League knockout qualifiers. Can you believe it? How they made it through the groups. In obviously 15th, 1 spot above the relegation zone. Obviously, that is a playoff spot as well, so they would get an extra chance as well. But still, really, really woeful from the Gelsenkirchen side this season. The saving grace is the fact that they are 6 points ahead of Stuttgart. They had an equally embarrassing weekend. They lost 6-0 to Augsburg, who in turn all but secured their Boehly status for next term, so congratulations to them. But in terms of Schalke Stuttgart, this is what the next few weeks looks like for them. So Schalke, they've got Dortmund away, Augsburg at home, Leverkusen away.
Kai Havertz going to tear them a new bum.
Difficult fixtures, those. Stuttgart, equally not easy, but a bit easier probably. Gladbach at home, Hertha Berlin away, Wolfsburg at home. So it is a bit easier, but what is interesting though is at the end of that run, they play each other. So that's going to be great.
Can you imagine if there's 3 points in it?
Hey, I reckon there could be, looking at those fixtures as well, you could see Stuttgart maybe clawing themselves back a little bit. Schalke, no easy games there. 4 of those 6 teams, actually, like I was just saying, 4 of those 6 teams who both sides are playing either already confirmed European qualification or are fighting for it. So, yeah, all very strong. So, yeah, you can see Stuttgart maybe clawing their way back into it. Definitely see Schalke dropping further points before the end of the season, especially with Dortmund as their next game. I think they won like 5-0, didn't they, on the weekend? Not quite sure.
Won't be a happy boy.
He won't be happy
vintage
at all.
Schalke top, £35. So if they go down,
I think he will be happy if they go down, because I think he needs that other team, doesn't he? He needs a bit of Man City circa 1999 to kind of keep him firmly rooted on the ground. But anyway, what do you guys reckon? Will Schalke actually go down this season? Let us know in the poll above. Let's move on to our Star of the Week.
Star of the Week was competitive.
It was.
This field, this category this week. But Blade Thunderbolt thinks it should go to Kylian Mbappe, and who are we to disagree, mate?
Yeah, no, I think he's just been arguably star of the season, hasn't he? He's just not dropped off in one bit. not dropped off. I mean, he's just got better and better. I mean, anyway, special mention though, obviously to Phil Foden. He started just his second ever Premier League game and ended up scoring the winning goal in a huge 1-0 win for Man City over Spurs. What a goal that could prove to be if Man City do go on and win the title.
Wasn't a lot of shouts, but
yeah, and deserved. I mean, he's only 18 years old, isn't he? But one man who he can look up to is Kylian Mbappe. Obviously, the Frenchman scored a hat-trick against his old club, Monaco. PSG won 3-1, celebrating their 8th Ligue 1 title in style. Obviously, they were confirmed champions earlier in the day after Lille, who were their closest challengers, were held 0-0 by Toulouse.
Oh, Lille smacked them about a couple of weeks ago, didn't they? While I was on holiday, I think Lille beat them 4-0, didn't they?
They did, yeah, that did happen. Yeah, that did happen. But yeah, it's just a tiny little dent in the armour, wasn't it? But back to Mbappe, he scored a lovely poked finish within 15 minutes of the game starting before finishing off 2 lovely chances, which were both set up by Dani Alves, who must be, what, about 16 years older than him?
Did you see a celebration? The change room after.
Yeah.
Doing the fish on the floor. Still got that sense of humour despite being, nearly 40.
Love it. Well, I mean, he's got to, cling on to it, hasn't he? While he's still a footballer. Yeah, you interviewed him, didn't you, earlier in the season?
Lovely bloke.
Yeah.
Very, you get a lot of positive energy from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, just bouncing around. We had him at the end of a 6-hour day. We interviewed him last, and he was still very happy-go-lucky. So, obviously plays into his playing style, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. As for Monaco, Golovin got a consolation effort for 10 minutes from time, but that's little help for them. They are still quite precariously lingering 5 points off the relegation zone with 5 games to go. Don't know what their run is here, don't have it down here, but yeah, not safe yet, although the bottom end of Ligue 1 is pretty poor, so I would still bank on them to stay up. Anyway, the hat-trick took Mbappe to 30 goals for the season. That makes him the youngest player to reach 30 Ligue 1 goals in a season at just 20 years old. I'm not surprised by that, to be honest. Who at 20 years old is capable of scoring that many in a league season? He now has 5 career hat-tricks to his name already as well. Where does this kind of stand him in the kind of all-time record books, though, Hamill?
In the pantheon of top goal scorers in French football. Well, it's funny you say that, Mike. Yeah. It's a great segue, because my first point is the fact that he has a long way to go to beat Josip, I'm going to say. Yeah. Josip Skoblar, who scored 44 in 36 games in 1970. So Mbappe would need to average 2.8 goals a match in the remaining 5 fixtures to pip old Josip. However,
could happen.
I mean, he's currently averaging a goal every 72 minutes, which is unbelievable. And it's, in fact, the best of anyone in the top 5 leagues who have scored over 20 goals. Messi currently averaging a goal every 74 minutes, and he's gone supernova again this season. That is how good Kylian Mbappe has been. He's averaging 4.3 shots per game, so that's the 5th best in Europe at the moment. When you consider that he's played with, Edinson Cavani has been the front man a lot of the time. He's kind of interchanged wide positions with Neymar throughout various points in this season. That is an awful lot of shots for someone who is as creative as him as well. And probably a good indication that his future does lie just solely down the middle. Yeah, so that's the 5th best, like I said, behind Insigne is on 4.4, Lewandowski 4.6, and then we have Messi and Ronaldo in 2nd and 1st. Mbappe could win his 7th major trophy next weekend if they overcome Stade Rennes to retain the Coupe de France. However, despite winning everything on offer in France, any hopes of Madrid or any other team, for that matter, testing PSG's resolve for him were dashed yesterday as Mbappe came out and said, and I quote, "I'm signed up to this project at PSG. It's good for Real Madrid that they have Zizou. I will watch their matches as an admirer." So, I think it might be more realistic to apply Neymar out of PSG at the moment than Kylian Mbappe. He's, of course, got time on his side, and he's treated like an absolute prince there, and rightly so, because he's a phenom. I don't really have anything else to say. He's just bloody brilliant, isn't he? Thank you for tuning into ERU. I feel like I've dusted out the cobwebs there, mate. Glad to be back. Glad to be back in the building making content. What other content have we got coming up? Because my mind's shot to this.
There's a ton. Stat was the Champions is raging on. Go and check out mine and Bobby Seagull's epic quarter-final from last week. Go over to FD if you want to see a very special edition of Squad Goals. That moved over from FDFC yesterday for one time only. And obviously go and subscribe to FDFC if you haven't already, because there's lots of great content on there like Squad Goals and other things as well. Yeah, if you like this, like and subscribe, obviously, and see you next time.
Do what the man says.